Lesson 2, we are going to make equivalent fractions with sums of fractions with like denominators. So let's take a look here. Number 1 asks us to show each expression on a number line, and then we're going to solve. So let's go ahead and solve it first. So that way we can see what we need to do with our number line. So we know that this is going to be 7/5. We have 5/5, which is equal to 1 whole plus 2/5. So we know that 1 whole plus 2/5 would be also our mixed number. So we know that on our number line, we can't stop at 1 because 7/5 is greater than 5/5, which would be equal to 1. So our number line is going to go all the way out to our whole number of 2. And we're going to go ahead and make our fractions in terms of fifths. We know that 2 will be 10/5. So let's split this into fifths by drawing 4 lines in between each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we added 5/5, we start at 0, we go up to 5/5, and we add 1, 2 more fifths, we will be right there at 7/5. And that's our answer for number 1. Let's go ahead and add or solve number 2. We have 6/3 plus 2/3. 6 plus 2 is 8/3. And we know that once again, 8/3 is greater than 1 because 1 would be 3/3. Let's go ahead and divide that there. So now we know that we have 0 here. We have to say, well, I know that this is equal to how many times, if we divided 8 divided by 3, how many times could 3 go into 8? Well, if we skip count it by 3, it would be 3, 6, 9 would be too much. So this is equal to 2 wholes plus 2/3. Let's take a look at that. So we're going to take this all the way out to 3. And we know that that would be 1 and 2. And thirds, we need 2 lines between each. So let's skip count. So this is 1, 2, 3/3. Of course, this would be 0/3. So we had 1, 2, 3/3, 4, 5, 6/3 is where we're going to be, where we start at. So we're going to jump up to 6/3, and then we're going to add 2 more thirds. 7, 8/3 will be our final answer. Let's take a look at this. So we have a couple things we need to do here. First, it says express each fraction as the sum of 2 or 3 equal fractional parts. So they have to be equal. Let's go ahead and continue. Then we're going to rewrite each as a multiplication equation. And then on part B only, we're going to show on a number line. So how can we write this? It's 2 ways that we can write 6/9 as equal fractional parts. So we can either have, I'll split it. I'll show both ways. We can either have 3/9 plus 3/9, which is equal to 2 times 3/9, or your answer could have been 2/9 plus 2/9 plus 2/9, which would be equal to 3 times 2/9. All right, now looking at B, there's only one way to do B, and that would be 15/4 would be 3 times 5/4. So we have 1, 2, 3 times 5/4. That's our multiplication, and that's our sum of the 3 equal fractional parts. Now also it's asked us to put a number line in here. So let's go ahead and draw a number line. So we know that if we have 15/4, well, 4/4 would be 1 whole, and we know we have way more than 4/4. So let's take a look. That's going to be my 0. Let's do some quick division. 15 divided by 4. So skip count by 4s until we get as close to 15 as possible without going over. So I know it's going to be 4 would be 1, 4/4. 8/4 would be 2. 12/4 would be 3. 16/4 would be 4, but I don't have 16/4. I only have 15/4. So it's not quite 4. So let's go ahead and say that that would be 16/4. Not quite there. I know I need to have 1, 2, and 3 in between my whole numbers. 1 would be 4/4. 2 would be 8/4, and 3 would be 12/4. So let's go ahead and add our fourths in by making 3 tick marks. 1, 2, 3. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 fourths. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if I'm adding 5 plus 5 plus 5/4, it's going to be 5/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus another 5/4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus another 5/4 will give me my 15/4. All right, so that solves 2b by giving me my 3 equal fractional parts, my multiplication equation, as well as my number line. Hopefully this was helpful to you and you can use this information to be successful on your next assignment. As always, like and subscribe and keep learning.